My fight was grounded by a storm. The plane never left the ground. Thunder rattled the terminal windows, and lightning split the runway in brief, merciless flashes. I sat in gate C-17, my briefcase at my feet, waiting for the weather to loosen its grip. That's when my phone rang. Her number. But it wasn't her voice. It was my daughter, sobbing so hard the words broke into fragments. "Daddy, Mommy left, with Uncle Jeff. They nailed the door shut." Her breath hitched. "Help me." Every muscle in my body turned to stone. Where is she now? A pause. A muffled sound. Hammering? Then nothing. I called my wife. She answered on the second ring, her voice smooth, unhurried. "I have hated her since the day she was born," she said, almost amused. "So it all ends now." And then she laughed. It wasn't a laugh you could mistake. It was the sound of something snapping, quietly, deliberately. The gate agent announced another delay. The storm would hold me in place for hours. I stared at the glass, watching rain wash the world into a smear of color, and realized I might be listening to my daughter's last night on Earth. We bought the cabin when my daughter was 2. It was supposed to be a place of safety, our escape from noise and neighbors, a place for her to grow up thinking the world was simpler than it really was. Jeff was my wife's cousin, at least that's what she told people. He came to the cabin sometimes, fixing things that didn't need fixing, staying longer than necessary. I never liked the way he looked at her. Not my wife, but my daughter. Not in the way you fear, but in the way a chess player studies a piece he intends to remove from the board. My wife's dislike for our child had always been subtle. A sigh when she spoke too loudly. A clipped tone when she asked for help. She hid it well enough in public. But in the quiet, when no one was looking, the truth leaked out. Now, hearing her voice from hundreds of miles away, cold, venomous, it wasn't subtle anymore. The sheriff's number appeared on my phone at 6:12 a.m. "We got a call about a fire at your cabin," he said. "We found a small body." I didn't breathe. Not because I didn't want to, because I couldn't. The storm broke the next morning, and I flew out. When I landed, the air felt wrong, thick with the smell of smoke and damp ash. The sheriff met me at the station. He spoke in that slow, cautious rhythm reserved for telling bad news. "It's going to take time to confirm. The body was burned badly." I asked where my wife was. He didn't know. I didn't go home. I went to her sister's house instead. Her car was there. She wasn't. I stayed silent. Didn't knock, didn't call again. Instead, I started piecing the last few weeks together, pulling bank statements, phone logs, security footage from the cabin's camera system I'd installed without telling her. Jeff had been there 3 nights before the fire. My wife arrived the next day. The feed cut off the following night. Someone had ripped the camera from the wall. There were still fragments, enough to watch her unloading something heavy from her trunk. Enough to see my daughter standing in the background, arms crossed, trying not to cry. That night, I sat in my car outside Jeff's house. His lights were off, blinds drawn. I didn't move for hours. I didn't need to. I was already writing the ending in my head. The autopsy came back 2 days later. It wasn't my daughter. The small body belonged to a neighbor's child, a boy reported missing that same night. My daughter was alive, but she wasn't home. When they found her, she was 2 towns over, sitting alone in a motel room registered under Jeff's name. She didn't speak when they brought her to me. I asked her one question. "Did she tell you why?" My daughter's eyes didn't meet mine. She said you'd choose me over her. She wanted to prove you'd lose me anyway. When my wife finally called, I answered with one sentence. "I know everything." The line went silent. Then a sharp intake of breath, like she'd been struck. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I invited her to meet me at the cabin, what was left of it. When she arrived, I handed her a manila envelope. Inside were printed bank transfers from her account to Jeff's, motel receipts, and still frames from the cabin camera. She flipped through them without speaking. When she looked up, her face was pale, tight. "You can't prove." "I don't need to prove it," I said. "I already told the sheriff." Her lips trembled, not with fear, but with the sudden realization that her power was gone. "You won't see her again," I told her, turning to leave. She reached for my arm. I didn't stop walking. Behind me, the sound of paper scattering in the wind was the only thing that followed. My daughter sleeps now. Her breathing is steady, but her dreams are shallow, I can tell. Some things don't go away. I haven't told her everything. Maybe I never will. Truth can be another kind of cruelty. I stood by the cabin ruins one last time tonight. The air was cold, the earth blackened, the outline of what was once our life burned into the soil. I felt nothing, not grief, not relief, just a clean, vacant space where something poisonous had been cut out. When I turned to leave, the wind carried the faint smell of smoke. It almost made me smile. Because in the end, she lit the fire, and all I did was let it burn.